Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today we've got a full slate of updates to break down for you. This is the 137th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have. Before we get started, if you guys could like and subscribe, that would go a long way. But today we've got a whole lot to break down. Now that we didn't record over the weekend, the last time we left y'all off, it was with the Hawks loss, and that wasn't super fun to break down. It was when they had lost to the Wizards, and that certainly was not an exciting game. But the Hawks are back, and they have won 2 straight, and they had a pretty awesome weekend. It wasn't a great weekend for Atlanta sports in general, because the Falcons just yesterday they lost to the terrible New York Jets. But luckily, this is not Falcons latest. We don't have to talk about them for too long. But what we can talk about is how the Hawks are playing really, really well. So over the last few days, Atlanta has picked up 2 massive wins. One was over the Cleveland Cavaliers, and a very tough Eastern Conference opponent, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference last year. They're kind of falling off a little bit, but they are still a very impactful team, very good on both ends of the floor, and they've also dealt with some injuries. So, if that team fully healthy is still probably one of the best in the East. That was an NBA Cup group play, so that was a big win for sure. And then they wrapped up the weekend last night against another very tough opponent, the Philadelphia 76ers. And they actually won that in a double overtime thriller. I'm sure that's very heavy on y'all's minds right now. And don't worry, we're going to have a full breakdown of both of those games, and that's one specifically last night we're going to get to in the second segment. So we'll break down both games in detail for sure. And then right after, we got to highlight the rise of a specific player who has just been absolutely killing it in his role, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. After we kind of break down those 2 games and Nickeil's just complete breakout, I mean, he's had an incredible stretch of games. Hawks don't win these games without him. Then we're going to look at tonight's matchup, because guess what? The Hawks play again, and also they're still on the road. It's just an absolutely ridiculous schedule that Adam Silver has gifted the Hawks, but they're back in action tonight, so you're not going to want to miss the full breakdown of that game in the last segment. So, like I said, a lot to break down. So, without further ado, let's waste no more time in the intro and go ahead and start by breaking down the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, because the Atlanta Hawks started their weekend off with a very, very impressive win. It was Friday night's NBA Cup matchup. The Hawks faced the Cleveland Cavaliers at home. So they were at home for this one. We aren't always on the road. Every week or so we get to play like one home game, and then we have an unfortunate road trip. I mean, it's just the way it goes, I guess. Shout out Adam Silver. That is such a terrible schedule. Anyways, but the Hawks won this game 130-123. It was a game that had major swings and some serious big time performances, and it also had a dramatic finish. I mean, the common trend lately with the Hawks has been these dramatic finishes, and there certainly was no shortage of those this weekend. In this game against the Cavs, Jalen Johnson led the way with just yet another star caliber outing. I mean, not even star caliber, like MVP caliber outing. Just incredible numbers. In this one, he had a second triple-double of the season. It was 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists. It was just something that really set the tone for the Hawks' offensive rhythm just all night long. And Johnson just continues to grow in every aspect of his game. One of the biggest concerns, especially for me, when Trey went down, was how they were going to close games and how they were going to look in these late game scenarios. While it looked a little bit rough at first, this is something that Jalen and Nickeil and the others are just getting much more comfortable in these situations. And that has been so great. I mean, I saw a stat, I think yesterday, where it was like the Hawks are the number 1 team in terms of efficiency late in games. I think they're shooting like over 51% from the floor in like the final minutes of games. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's stuff that I would have never expected, just given who's on and off the floor. But yeah, Jalen specifically has grown really as a creator, and this game against the Cavs really, showed how much he's matured in both pace and decision making. He really showed that all weekend. I don't want to get too much into what happened in that Sixers game, but because I'm sure y'all know he had a much even better game against the Sixers, but you can't even really put the two against each other because it was just two awesome performances. Another guy who absolutely killed it against the Cleveland Cavaliers was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was just in the midst of an incredible breakout season, kind of similar to like what Norman Powell did last year with the Clippers, just being put into more of a scoring role than he's ever been in, and he's just absolutely killing it. In this game, he had 28 points, and those points, all of them mattered, especially the ones late in the game, because he had a clutch late game triple that really helped Atlanta spark a 7-0 run in under 30 seconds, and they ended up winning by 7, so clearly that meant a good bit. I mean, his poise in these clutch moments are just huge, especially just considering the pace and the pressure of the matchup. Atlanta up to that point was 1-2 in NBA Cup group play, and while they were already like effectively eliminated from potentially going to Vegas like they did last year, I mean, it still is a game that matters. It's still a game that Cleveland is going to try to run up the score because they're fighting for position, and so they didn't back down to this matchup, and they ended up getting the win. They ended up just kind of controlling a Cleveland team that is good in late game situations, and so all these guys stepping up, just all of it matters. On the other side, looking at some of the stat lines from certain players on the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell just continues what has been his best NBA season. I mean, he is like legitimately putting up MVP numbers. Jalen Johnson's not the only one who's putting up MVP numbers. I mean, Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs is absolutely killing it this season. I mean, he's been the most consistent, reliable part of their lineup because they've dealt with several injuries this season, and he has just shown that he is still that player like that he has been really his whole career. He had 42 points in this game, which was his sixth 30-plus point outing in his last 8 games. I mean, what? That's ridiculous. Even that wasn't enough, though, to get Cleveland into the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. With that loss, both teams were officially eliminated from advancing. So the Hawks were already eliminated going into it. So the Cavs, they like I said, like this is a thing where the Cavs were really trying to compete. I mean, they were still in it, and it did not matter. I mean, the Hawks wanted it more at the end of the day, and not even specifically talking about Jalen and Nickeil and their ability to close games, but all of the Hawks who were in the lineup really showed composure because Quinn Snyder made the bold decision. Well, it really shouldn't be a bold decision, but it is a bold decision just considering how we know how Quinn does his lineups at times. With the game tied at 123, it was none other than Zachary Risachet who hit a go-ahead 3 with 1:09 remaining, which gave Atlanta the lead for good. I mean, they never lost it again. And relating it back to what I was about to say with Quinn, Quinn has been very hesitant in the past to close with Zachary Risachet. I mean, really, his whole rookie season, he never really closed games unless there was significant injuries in the lineups, in the lineup. But and that trend was looking to kind of continue this year. But in these past 2 games now, Quinn has closed with Zachary Risachet, and he has made the defenses pay. He has proven to his head coach that he should probably, he's a starter. He's in the starting lineup every single night. Maybe he should play actual starter minutes, and maybe he should be closing these games. But yeah, he hit that clutch 3 at the end of the Cleveland game, which really kind of sealed it. That right after that, it was that Mitchell misfire, and then buried that pull-up 3, that we talked about just a minute ago, and that was with 47 seconds remaining, and that just seriously was what put the game away. Cleveland was held scoreless in the final 2 minutes and 3 seconds of action, so just locked in defensively. We had a very impressive defensive lineup in that game, late in that game, and the fact that they were able to continue that success on the offensive end just shows the versatility and the adaptability of this team. Both teams exchanged big runs in the first half, and so that's why I always say, like, you can never judge a Hawks game based on the first quarter, or really even the first half, or really even the third quarter. I mean, this is just a clutch team, because Atlanta opened with a 21-4 run, like, in that game, and then Cleveland had answered, later in that game with a 14-0 burst of their own, which was in the second quarter. Just a game of runs until the final minutes where Atlanta just locks in. So this win, wow, I can't talk. It means the season series between the Hawks and the Cavaliers is now tied 1-1. These are 2 very competitive Eastern Conference teams, and this is going to matter late in the season. All of the matchups between these 2 teams, it's really going to be important for positioning and seeding in the Eastern Conference, because as we know, it's a wide open Eastern Conference. I don't expect the Pistons, who the Hawks are actually playing tonight, to just continue their utter dominance and barely losing any games ever. I don't expect that to continue. But what I do expect to continue is these kind of like the teams like 4 through 6. Like, I mean, the standings are changing every day, so I don't know exactly who's in there right now. But I mean, the teams like the Knicks and the Cavs and the Hawks, I still expect to be at the top of the East at the end of the season. So as the season progresses, wins like this are going to matter. And another win that's going to matter in a team that's also kind of competing in the same kind of caliber of games that the Hawks are, the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Hawks took them on last night. It was a Sunday night matchup that went to double OT, and the Hawks got the win. I'm sure that is what you all are tuning in for today, because that is fresh on our minds, and we want to hear, I'm sure you guys would like to hear a recap of all the events that went down. Maybe you couldn't watch it, and maybe you saw like on your phone, like, wow, the Hawks went to double overtime. Jalen Johnson had the best performance of his career. I hate that I missed it. I need to go to Hawks Latest for a full breakdown of the game. Well, don't you worry. We've got it for you right here. The Philadelphia 76ers, the Atlanta Hawks played them in the Sixers arena, and it became one of the most intense games of the season, not just for the Hawks, but maybe just in the NBA. It's probably a top 3 best game so far this year. Atlanta came away with that 142-134 victory in double OT, handing the Sixers a loss in the game that was the return of Joel Embiid, who looked like an absolute statue out there. He should not be playing basketball right now. He needs to take a little bit more time to recover, because man, he did not look good. He was scoring just fine, but his mobility was terrible. I mean, he was non-existent on the defensive end. And we got to talk about Jalen Johnson again, because this might have been the best. I'm not going to say might. This was the best game of his NBA career so far. Johnson finished with 41 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, and he hit decisive shots in both overtime periods and even the fourth quarter. And he carried the Hawks offense when it mattered most. What an unreal stat line. I mean, he just continues to make a case for All-NBA. I'm pretty sure at this point he's an all-star lock. Hopefully he doesn't get injured, but I mean, if the season, well, not if the season, if the All-Star break was right now, I mean, he would be a lock for the All-Star game. And I don't expect this play to slow down anytime soon. He has been absolutely incredible. I mean, last time we checked, he was 10th on the MVP ladder. That was a drop. It was the drop after he had like that 7-point game a few nights ago, where it was like he was due for an off game. But right before that, he was 7th in the MVP ladder, dropped to 10. And with these past 2 performances, and if maybe he can continue it tonight with another dominant performance, I mean, this is a situation where Jalen could kind of get himself into the top 5 or 6 in the MVP ladder. I mean, his numbers right now are absolutely ridiculous, and it's not a surprise, but like this much dominance from Jalen, it's kind of a surprise, if I'm being completely honest. We knew he was going to take a leap, but I didn't expect it to be just like this. The Sixers got contributions from their stars, and actually Tyrese Maxey had 44 points. I mean, he hit critical shots to force both the first overtime, and he nearly put the game away. I mean, he was really clutch late in the game, except for like the final minutes, the final seconds, which we're going to talk about in just a second here. And Joel Embiid, like I said, solid scoring game. He had 18 points, but he was a complete negative out there. He was just not effective on either end of the floor, and it was really hurting Philadelphia. And actually, Nick Nurse ended up going to Adem Bona, and because it was like Embiid couldn't move out there. But Paul George, the washed number 8, he chipped in 16 points, I was saying late in the game, I was like, please let them go to Paul George as much as they want to, because I am not worried about that at all. But in the clutch, it was Atlanta that executed. They got some solid games from some of their star players, but it was Atlanta and their team chemistry and their dominance that ended up getting the win. Nickeil Alexander-Walker continued his stretch of awesome performances. He had 34 points and 8 rebounds and 7 assists. I mean, just an all-around dominant effort as Atlanta's starting point guard. He played extended minutes as that team's lead guard, and his ability to drive and shoot and defend without fouling late. He picked up his fifth personal, I think, with like 10 minutes left. So I mean, Quinn trusted him, and he stayed out there and he killed it. And he did not pick up a foul. I mean, he was playing disciplined, and that was awesome to see. It was key in keeping the Hawks afloat. I mean, that's that veteran presence. That's what you want to see out of a guy that you put a significant investment in this past offseason. And one of the turning points in this game was when Tyrese Maxey, the Philadelphia 76ers guard, who's having an absolutely incredible season, he's always usually a reliable free throw shooter. I mean, he's a great shooter. He's very efficient from the floor, and he also is that same player at the free throw line. But in the closing seconds of that first overtime, Tyrese Maxey, he missed two critical free throws, and that could have put the game away, but he missed both. And I was kind of hoping he would just miss one, so then we could get like a shot at a three and to potentially tie the game and send it to a second overtime. But he ended up missing both, and then Jalen Johnson ended up getting fouled by former Hawk Dominic Barlow, and then he knocked down both free throws and sent that to second overtime. And the second overtime simply, just putting it truthfully, belonged to Jalen Johnson. He hit back-to-back threes, and that broke the tie and shut the door on the 76ers, giving Jalen his 41st point of the game, and it marked Atlanta's fourth victory in their last 5 games, and now they're 9-3 in their last 12, and they're showing just how dangerous they can be when they're clicking, even without Trae Young, and I am so beyond excited to see how they look when he comes back. So now let's go ahead and move on. Well, it's moving on to a separate segment, but it is relating a whole lot to what happened just last night. But, one of the most important storylines of the Hawks season so far has been the rise of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We were all excited when we brought in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We were expecting just a very solid defender who could occasionally contribute to some buckets off the bench. But man, we were not expecting a over 20 point per game scorer who was still dominant on the defensive end, but like really being one of Atlanta's primary initiators in the starting lineup. That is not something we expected. I certainly did not. And, with Trae Young sidelined due to his knee injury, something that has been, the case for several weeks now. He actually, the Hawks sent out that update saying that Young would still be out for at least 2 more weeks, and then they would reevaluate him from there. We still have no idea how much longer we're going to be without Trae. I mean, if I had to guess, the return would be like mid to late December, but still, though, I mean, that might be pushing it. We don't know how serious the extent of this injury is. And, this is coming at a time when the Hawks, had just reshuffled their roster. Trae's injury came at a very poor time, but Na has said, nah. Wait, okay, that was I didn't even mean to do that, but Na said nah, and he said that we're gonna stay afloat. We're still gonna be one of the best in the Eastern Conference, and I'm gonna come into this role as a starting point guard, and I'm going to absolutely deliver. And he has. Against Philadelphia last night, he had 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. He shot 6 of 11 from 3-point range. He had a block and a steal. So just simply doing it all. Like I said earlier, he did all of this while avoiding foul trouble for nearly 10 extra minutes because he had those 5 personal fouls going into overtime. And this performance, just so conveniently, came just 2 days after he put up 30 points against the Cavaliers. So now this is his second straight game with 30 points. And he was just over a week removed from dropping a career-high 38 points on 8 of 10 from deep against the Spurs. So this is not a fluke. I mean, he's doing this over a prolonged period of time. He is looking like a scorer that he has hardly looked like in his career. I mean, he's shown potential to kind of be like this, but he's getting to fully put it on display here in Atlanta. So now his season scoring averages are now up to 20.1 points per game, and he's seriously become a more than reliable secondary creator next to Jalen Johnson. And he's just fitting perfectly into this team, into this identity that the Hawks have been trying to build ever since they acquired Dyson Daniels last offseason. Him coming in and just making his presence felt, and it's kind of shifted the culture, shifted the identity, and just seemed like a picture perfect fit. Now that he has taken a true leap as a scorer, I mean, the fit is just even better. Did y'all see last night when Nickeil and Jalen tried to recreate that Bron and Wade picture, and Nickeil kind of ran? He did it a little early. He did Wade's part a little bit early, but still, the idea was there, the thought was there, and I thought that was pretty cool. But but the picture still looked tough. It just wasn't exactly the recreation that they were moving for. What's most impressive about how Na has kind of stepped into the role is just how he's embraced this combo guard role, because he's not a traditional playmaker. He's not someone that is going to be the facilitator that like a Trae Young is, and he's more of a scoring guard who can make some solid reads. But he has just the ability to do it all on the court because he is a positive defender, a more than positive defender. I mean, this is a guy who's extremely impactful on the defensive end. He still needs to clean up his turnovers a little bit. But again, like, I can't be mad at his turnover numbers right now because he's in a role that he is not particularly used to. Once Trae Young returns, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how they manage these lineups, because if there's one thing that's for sure, Nickeil has proven over this recent stretch of games that he should be a starter in the NBA, maybe even with the Hawks. So we got to see what happens when Trae comes back, because I don't want Nickeil's minutes to go down. I mean, he has been Atlanta's second best player, right after Jalen Johnson. I mean, I don't think that is ridiculous to say. He can play both on and off the ball and just complements everyone in that starting lineup currently. So I don't want to see his minutes decrease, but also, I mean, Trae's going to command a lot of minutes. So let me know your thoughts on all of that down below in the comments. And yeah, I mean, coming into Atlanta, everyone knew Na could defend and shoot, but man, these recent games are proving that he is much more than just that. He is a primary scorer and a guy that defenses need to dial in on. And Atlanta now sits 5th in the Eastern Conference at 13-8. And man, the future is looking extremely bright once this team is fully healthy. And so I'm going to be very interested to see how they manage the lineups between Na and Dyson and Trae and everyone once everyone's healthy. But for right now, it looks good. And hopefully the Hawks can continue on that trend tonight against the Detroit Pistons. The Hawks are playing the Pistons once again. They had played them earlier in the season, and this is going to be a tough one because the Hawks are on the second night of a back-to-back. Hawks at Pistons tonight. Detroit is coming off of a 138-135 victory over the Miami Heat, a game that they nearly blew a 22-point lead, but they ultimately managed to hold on, and they got a much-needed win because, while they are still playing very good basketball, they've cooled off a little bit. They're not the team that we played like a week or so ago when they had just won I think 8 to 10 straight. I forgot what the streak was, but they were killing it, and so they came into Atlanta and they beat us up pretty good. Atlanta made a late run, but it just wasn't enough, truly. I mean, they didn't have an answer for Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren late. And that first matchup against Detroit, they had beaten us 122-112. They have a team that, they got a lot of contributors. I mean, outside of Cade Cunningham, this is a team that you got to completely game plan for anyone else to have a breakout game. I mean, Cade's been excellent. In that game against the Heat, he posted 29 points and 8 assists. Turnovers have been a bit of a concern for him, but I mean, he's a high volume point guard. I'm sorry, turnovers come with that territory. He's also had 8 in back-to-back games. In the turnover department. So I mean, yeah, certainly not good, but I mean, this is what's coming with the territory. Tobias Harris added 26 in that game against the Heat, and Duncan Robinson chipped in 18. Just a guy who usually gives the Hawks hell. So hopefully he doesn't continue on the performance he had in their last game against the Heat. And that was actually his first matchup against the Heat since he left Miami to join Detroit. Jalen Duren, who has been like a strong candidate for most improved player this season. He actually missed their last game with a leg injury, so his status for tonight remains a little bit uncertain. If he can't go, that is going to be a huge boost for Atlanta, especially considering we don't know exactly who in the front court is going to play. And yeah, for Atlanta, this game does come on the second night of a back-to-back after a double overtime marathon in Philadelphia, so fatigue is definitely going to be a factor. I was watching the Hawks-Philly game, and I was like, man, as soon as it went into first overtime, I was like, this is not good. And then it went into a second one, and I'm like, yeah, all right, thank you, basketball gods, because of course we got to play a team we're already 0-1 on the season against an important Eastern Conference opponent, and we're gonna have to do it on the second night of a back-to-back after we played a double overtime game. I mean, just simply unfair, and we've got several road games coming up once again, so of course. Momentum and confidence from these last 2 wins, though, could be enough to propel the Hawks over the Pistons tonight, and man, that would be a huge victory if we can pull that off despite the tired legs, despite all the outside factors. We're going to be in good shape, and I'm truly we're going to have some conversations if we can pull that game off. I mean, Coach Snyder has just over and over again praised this team's resilience, and I mean, it's clear to see why. I mean, they won against the Sixers, and they won against the Cavs, despite some guys being in and out of the lineup. I mean, these past 2 games, Kristaps has been out. We don't know his status for tonight, but I mean, that's a big piece in the lineup that's out alongside a guy like Trae Young, and Luke Kennard's been sick. I mean, he missed the previous game he played last night, but he was throwing up at halftime, according to Snyder, so this is another depth piece who's kind of like struggling with outside factors right now, but still giving Atlanta some solid minutes off the bench. Jalen Johnson is coming off of that 2-game stretch of 29 points and then 41 points, and Na is continuing to play the best basketball of his career. Can he have 3 straight 30-point games? I mean, we'll see tonight. That is extremely possible, and hopefully he can kind of continue on that streak, because we're going to, once again, this is another situation that we're going to have some very serious conversations if Na can have 30 in 3 straight games. So Atlanta just needs to maintain their composure tonight. And, the injury reports are not out yet because, it is early and we are coming off of back-to-back. We don't get those injury reports until later. But hopefully it looks pretty clean. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, though, because, man, the Hawks have been kind of, letting it all out on the floor in recent days. So, I mean, they got to focus on generating clean looks early, not getting off to a slow start. And I think they can beat this Detroit Pistons team. But, the odds are certainly not in our favor. They definitely need to try and avenge the earlier loss and extend their recent run of success, because going 1-1 against a team like the Pistons on this season would truly be something that comes into play later in the season. I mean, this Pistons team is here to stay near the top of the Eastern Conference. So to recap, the Hawks had 2 huge wins this weekend, and now they're looking to carry that momentum into the week starting tonight against the Pistons. Rising stars are really stepping up, and man, tonight is going to be a tough matchup, but hopefully they can come through. All of the ingredients of a very exciting stretch of Hawks basketball. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below, what were your thoughts against that on that tough win against the Cleveland Cavaliers? What were your thoughts on the Hawks defeating the Sixers last night in double overtime, and Jalen Johnson and Nikhil just absolutely killing it over this last stretch? And what are your thoughts on the game tonight? Do you think the Hawks miraculously off the second night of a back-to-back can go into Detroit and get another important win? This team would give me confidence that they can be a 1 seed at the end of the season if they can pull off a win like this, because it would be huge. So yeah, let me know that all down below. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I will see you guys next time.